The Try Guys are easily one of the most tragically ironic stories on YouTube. I mean, since 2014, they've focused on being brand friendly.
I'll read your little paper and pretend it's my own words. I love it. I love you. I love you, brand.
Inclusive and progressive.
Now, one of our long-term goals has always been to use the privilege of our platform to expand into a wider cast of diverse voices,
while still maintaining a real sense of authenticity.
I think you're probably just insecure about putting yourself on the thumbnail.
I want you to take that sentence again, but stop after the word insecure, and you nailed it.
Yet they're primarily known for a scandal that flew in the face of all of that.
3 years ago, I cheated on my wife with my producer. It became a massive public scandal.
From the jump, we were acutely aware of just how contrary this was to the values of the company we've built and those of everyone who works here.
And I don't think it's hard to see why that's what stuck. I mean, it's arguably the most famous example of a channel's founder being forcibly ousted by the others.
So on Friday, September 16th, the three of us signed written consent of the members of Second Try LLC approving the removal of Ned as a manager and an employee.
Not to mention the sudden identity crisis hoisted upon the brand, given that, this was literally the wife guy of the group.
I know that I represented myself as a kind of wife guy who talked about his relationship and put that out there for public consumption. And you, as a viewer, I broke your trust.
And like with any breakup, it is fascinating to see where the two parties have ended up, especially when one spirals while the other thrives. And while I've already broken down the aftermath of Ned going solo, there is a lot to be said about the remaining Try Guys. Because while Ned is doing his best,
he did actually sit down with his ex-wife and have an hour-long discussion with her about him cheating, and him prodding her, poking her, and how did you feel about that?
But I somehow have lost my will to live.
What are y'all doing?
The Try Guys are still making moves.
Starting today, we are launching a subscription streaming service.
So we are officially expanding the cast.
New channel alert!
Which is kind of incredible, because the Try Guys have faced at least half a dozen decisions or scenarios that have backfired on countless past YouTubers. Yet the Try Guys still find themselves in somewhat of a new golden era. And it's all thanks to Keith Happersberger, Zach Kornfeld, and Eugene Lee Yang carefully crafting a miracle. A miracle that, unsurprisingly, starts at the beginning. Or at least the beginning of the scandal. But first I gotta thank today's sponsor, Raycon. It's Raycon's anniversary, and to celebrate, they're selling their essential open earbuds for 30% off right now. I've been testing them daily, and honestly, these might just be my new daily drivers. The open ear design is great. They sit just outside your ear so you can still hear what's going on around you without losing that clear sound quality. They've been perfect to wear during tasks around the house without something clunky covering my ears or blocking out my surroundings. They're super light, don't slip out, and that rotating ear hook actually helps them stay put all day. You can even connect them to multiple devices at once, and the battery's life is more than reliable, lasting 36 hours with the case. Best part is, Raycon gives you the same audio quality as the big brands, but for way less. Over 3 million people use them, and with a 30-day happiness guarantee, there's really nothing to lose. Click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/JimmyRobbinsOpen to get 30% off the essential open earbuds. That's buyraycon.com/JimmyRobbinsOpen. Thanks to Raycon for helping keep the lights on. Now back to the video. Now, a word you're going to hear me say a few times is confidence. And it's important to note that I don't mean arrogance or aggression, but so much of what made this work, in my opinion, was a consistent pattern of doing things at their pace, their way, on their terms, even when other YouTubers would historically have panicked and overcorrected. As you probably know, the scandal itself centered around Ned Fulmer cheating on his wife with one of their employees. And from a brand perspective, this could not have been worse. See, all 4 of the founders had an on-screen persona that revolved around a core personality trait. So in videos, Zach would be the neurotic one.
Excellent. Other hand.
He did not say to scream, Eugene. That was terrifying.
I'm sorry.
And then Keith was the enthusiast opposite Eugene's aloofness.
Do you want us to hug you right now?
No.
But those are all pretty arbitrary, right? I mean, they're kind of just personality traits. None of that was nearly as concrete as Ned being the wife guy that would find ways to relate every situation to being a devoted husband and father.
My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife. My wife.
So the fact that the member with the strongest branding not only left, but was forcibly ousted after completely betraying said strong brand was going to be tricky no matter what. What's more, the discovery of the affair put the remaining trio in honestly, about as bad of a position as they could have been. Because with a scandal like this, you would want to know about it before anyone else. That way, everyone's first and most important impression of the situation gets to be decided by you, meaning that there's a better chance that whatever discourse it spawns will be more favorable, but that's not what happened. You see, like any smart celebrity famous for his marriage, Ned was having this affair in public. Like fully going on dates without shying from PDA, meaning that the other founders and Ned's wife Ariel all found out about this from fans bringing it to their attention.
I found out about your affair from the fans. Somebody sent me a picture.
As things came out on Reddit, the internet started sleuthing, and let me tell you, I think that more detectives should be reaching out to teenagers.
So yeah, this was Code Red, the literal worst case scenario. It was the worst possible founder to do this, with the story breaking in the worst possible way. So you would expect that after a quick SpongeBob moment, they would have a clear, decisive, and quick response to put all of this to bed before it could get any worse, right? But instead, the Try Guys did nothing. Quite literally, nothing. Or so it would seem. Ned was quietly removed from the videos while the rest of the founders were making moves behind the scenes.
We immediately removed Ned from work activities and engaged an HR professional to conduct a thorough review of the facts.
Now, we can't talk about the details of the review, but suffice to say, we found that Ned had engaged in conduct unbecoming of our team, and we knew that we could not move forward with him.
Which brings us to the announcement and immediate aftermath. Because their handling of the announcement, both the initial statement and follow-up podcast, in my opinion, was close to, if not perfect. It very carefully towed the line where it mattered most. You see, with a public statement like this, it's easy for it to feel inauthentic, or like circular PR speak. Too bad I can't think of any examples of that, right?
I did that. And I can't change it. I can't change the past.
Though at the same time, you don't want to be too aggressive that you seem inflammatory. Legally speaking, yes, but it's also easy for that to backfire in the court of public opinion. For example, you could argue it would encourage the situation to escalate in a way that would hurt the victims. What's more, they were transparent and sincere. No one told Eugene to hide his anger.
We refused to sweep things under the rug. That is not who we are, and it's not what we stand for.
Or for Zach to hide that he was upset.
I don't know that we'll ever be able to fully articulate the pain we feel at this moment. If we're losing a friend, we're losing someone we built the company with, we have countless memories with.
And they provided the necessary information that they legally could, like what went into the process of Ned's removal.
We didn't want to leave ourselves open for lawsuits if we were unjustly removing him or whatever what have you, right? Like, we just needed to make sure that we were doing things right, not saying the wrong thing, not doing something too early, making sure that we had really gone through this internal review before we took permanent action.
And all of that ended up saving them within days, because SNL made a sketch where they tried to basically absolve Ned in favor of brandishing the other founders as like entitled, spoiled pranksters.
How do you not know the Try Guys? Oh, they're BuzzFeed pranksters who try stuff.
I'm trying to understand why this story is such a scandal. Was this affair non-consensual?
No, worse. He committed the heinous act of having a consensual kiss and not telling us, his friends.
Totally unrelated to one of Ned's classmates writing the thing, I'm sure.
I was chatting with a different writer who I don't think is this friend, but went to Yale with you.
Oh,
and
Will Stevens.
Yeah.
But this is where their approach already came in clutch for them. Because have you seen breakup videos on YouTube? How messy any kind of parting has historically been on the website?
Oh, that's Alyssa Violet, used to be your chick. Now she in the low gang and you know she on my team.
Like, SNL trying to misrepresent them to such a degree made it really easy for people to dismiss the sketch entirely. Like, out of all the videos you could make fun of, really? You chose this one? Am I missing something?
Why would you try to vilify the people sitting on the couch trying to do the right thing? Well, it's because if outlets like SNL decided to talk about that, it might draw attention to the fact that Saturday Night Live's been accused of having a bit of a sexist culture against women throughout the 90s and 2000s.
And while sure, the older crowd never saw the corrections made, the people who matter here did. Creators and viewers alike came out in swarms to defend the guys online. Even some who weren't planning on weighing in.
I was actively looking for excuses not to do this episode, and yet each time I shelved it, Ever since the Try Guys drama first started, my feed has just been full of entertainment news media making like the worst takes possible about this situation.
Had their initial announcement been, well, anything close to what SNL portrayed, that would have become the narrative for the brand going forward. Because the defense won't be nearly as enthused if the reaction is, I mean, close enough. Which, if that sounds like a reach, anecdotally speaking, I frequently see people just getting a summary of some internet drama from like a Reddit comment and then assuming that the summary is gospel, which at times leads to wrongful information spreading as fact. So it was a really good thing that this emboldened people en masse to ensure that the narrative wasn't allowed to shift. I also think it's important looking back that when they had done the podcast episode expanding on their thoughts, Eugene didn't partake.
And I also want to say, because you might be like, why isn't Eugene here?
To be totally open and frank, Eugene does not like doing podcasts. I don't think that's a mystery to y'all. He likes doing it every now and then, but we are going to be rebranding this show either this week or next week. It's the Zach and Keith show, baby. We're going to have Miles and Rainey joining us as well, but that's the future of this podcast. Eugene doesn't love doing it.
I think that's actually notable, not necessarily in and of itself, but because it further showed the mindset they had here. The YouTuber thing to do would be to make sure everyone's there to best turn it into content.
Please join me for this conversation with Ariel Fulmer.
But the right thing to do was not to pressure him, which seemingly they didn't. It just further solidifies a desire to minimize the harm while still being authentic, and again, I think that approach really saved them. But that doesn't change the fact that Ned's absence left a real hole in the group. I mean, they were just a group of 4, and Eugene was already phasing out his role as on-camera talent because, well, he was about to leave the group.
Right before this all happened, we were trying to look for ways to like let Eugene finally work on these projects. So we were like, okay, I think maybe at the end of 2022, like that is the time where we will help you be able to step away from the Try Guys to make those things. And unfortunately, in late 2022, someone else stepped away. And if he were to step away at that time, it would have been really bad. Optically, it would have been really hard for us to manage without him.
So in a weird way, the timing of this actually worked out pretty well for everyone but Eugene. That is to say that they were already experimenting with bringing on guests so that they didn't need all 4 founders at every shoot.
Try Guys and friends are here at the Mission Viejo High Dive facility.
Today, it's myself and Ned representing the Try Guys.
This was good because it meant the viewers were already used to Ned not being in every video, and the guys as performers matured to a point of not needing the core dynamic to make the videos work.
The nice thing about our show is there's so many different styles, so it has a little bit of something for everyone.
Are we gonna be crumping?
No, you're not gonna be crumping.
So not something for everyone.
So they were prepared for this, but they still didn't rush in too quickly. You see, people get really attached to the cast of their favorite forms of entertainment. They don't do well with change. Just ask Smosh.
I went from getting Where's Demi to getting Where's Anthony.
So where is Anthony?
Where's Anthony? Where is he?
Don't ask where Anthony is.
And they had an ensemble cast established before Anthony left. So the Try Guys decided to replace Ned with no one. Even though some like Quasi were making frequent enough appearances to warrant it, they knew it wasn't the right move. So when they did formally expand their cast, they did so all at once while coinciding with Eugene's departure.
So we like to think that we're not really losing Eugene, but we're gaining so many more perspectives that deserve the opportunity to shine.
This meant that no one individual had to shoulder that pressure alone.
Are we going to have a new 4th Try Guy? No, we will have new people that come in and out. We obviously already have our buddy Quasi, who we love, but I don't want to put the pressure on anyone to say, this is the new Try Guy and he is the replacement. That's not fair to them.
While also having the new cast be associated with a positive parting, as this was going to allow Eugene to better pursue his passions.
My primary passions are writing and directing in the film and literary spaces. And to hope to achieve any success in those spaces, gosh, it requires a lifetime of commitment.
So, okay, in the immediate aftermath, their response passed with flying colors. But what about their more medium-term plans? Well, those were also handled really well. See, they played things pretty safe for the next year and a half. Eugene started to make more appearances again to help add more certainty while delaying his plans to leave the channel. They also started to work in more of their future cast members in preparation for this transition, while otherwise keeping their output relatively safe, leaning heavily on their most successful series like Try Guys and Without a Recipe. Not to mention, Keith Gets Indigestion.
Today is the epic conclusion of Keith Eats Everything at Cheesecake Factory.
It wasn't until 2024 that they felt sure enough to start shaking things up and being a bit more experimental.
Industry changes and the whole left us in a pretty tight place financially, so we really just spent the year holding on tight. Our main goal was one of stabilization, but back to the idea of change. The Try Guys is changing.
And that experimentation made the transition to the new cast a relatively smooth one, because the boldness they did implement helped to make the brand feel more confident. Like I had mentioned, you had their towing the line of using Eugene without forcing him into the videos. But there was also the fact that they kind of said screw it in some really interesting ways. The first that I think was notable was their handling of the problems that came with Ned's sudden removal. Namely, that for produced videos where he couldn't just be edited out, they just kind of, well, did this.
Pop up, you eat them. Part of this complete breakfast.
Which honestly was good on their part. Just kind of being tongue-in-cheek worked for most people. They also started to make what I would call a huge shift, because as it's been noted, YouTube channels have shifted in recent years from prioritizing individual personalities to comprehensive brands that center around an ideology.
They can't be overly person-centric. They know that formats like Theorist or like I did every X of whatever or whatever, those are the things that are going to allow them to be able to sustain moving forward forever. They're things that they can hand off to other team members to potentially host.
And that was actually a huge boon for the Try Guys, as the two remaining core members, in my opinion, were the two with the weakest individual brands, specifically because they were both more of the relatable everyman type than Ned or Eugene. So that's a good lineup to expand with a larger ensemble. Now, while I've mentioned their expanded cast, it's worth getting into how they went about it, because the Try Guys started this adaptation by primarily centering the concept of trying at the middle of the company instead of sharing that spotlight with the four founders.
For the last 11 years, we have tried so many things, and it's made us the people that we are today. So cool. I really think that just the act of trying, whether or not you commit or pursue it beyond that first try, really helps you grow as a person. You're dipping your toe into a different world for a day, and that's good for you.
Our lives have changed by being Try Guys, and now it's your turn.
Which I actually think is really clever. Well, yes, some of their videos are more clickbaity.
We've got lingerie from Lizzo, Rihanna. Let's take my clothes off. If the Try Guys had like a pull string, that'd be one of our quotes. There's a snake in my boot. Let's take our clothes off. That's why you're here, right?
There is an educational value in being able to see how different personalities adapt to different cultures, experiences, or hobbies. Say that you're interested in CrossFit. You could see how these four normal guys did trying it and see if that appeals to you.
At times it got a little too Disney Channel. Like I didn't need people clapping for the end of my workout. It's like, you did it, you little weakling. But yeah, having like a little group, like every so often you could check in with each other. I thought it was great. Hey, we did it. We did it. We tried CrossFit.
And with a more diverse cast, it increases the chance that there's a member you particularly relate to who you can kind of model your possible outcomes off of.
Basically, it's meat and muscles on New Guy Tries. Roll the tape. We're at one of the best CrossFit gyms in LA. I am excited to work out because I have been working out for the past 2 years. I think that was actually the first thing I did to start my physical transition. I am scared of CrossFit.
So to coincide with Eugene's departure, they announced a huge expansion to their cast, adding 9 new members to join Zach and Keith as the Try Guys. And it really helps that with the channel transitioning from relying on individual personalities to a core brand, that they didn't touch the branding. It might seem silly to point out, but I think it was a really smart choice to not get caught up in the wrong details and weaken their branding out of fear of the smaller details.
There's another assumption. The name that you guys inherited from BuzzFeed limits what you guys make.
Oh, I don't think that's true at all.
First of all, we didn't inherit it. We paid good money for it. I could see how it's limiting because the name Guys, I don't know, it's such a catch-all.
Like, imagine if they tried to change the name to the Try Pals or something. I actually think that in terms of sheer branding, the Try Guys have one of the strongest ones of any YouTube channel. And that wouldn't exactly have been the first time that someone has a solid established brand and just throws it out without a plan.
You know, we're all used to you wearing outfits like this. So how are people reacting to your transformation?
It's been called gutsy, brave, and revolutionary.
Right, and who are those quotes attributed to?
Me!
It's a good part of that screw it attitude to just go, yeah, not every Try Guy is a guy, because it's no longer a noun, but an idea. Try to keep up, okay? Like, they struck a careful balance of experimentation with consistency. We're rapidly expanding the cast, but with familiar faces while we keep the brand consistent.
I used to work here, and now these guys are my emergency contact.
Eugene's on his way out and has limited time to shoot, so let's use it as a chance to experiment and transition.
In March, it's pilot month. Each week we'll be launching and testing brand new show formats, and you get to decide on what we greenlight.
Again, clever. They knew that Eugene's last season would pull more views, so they could afford the short-term losses of filling the preceding time with the experimental content that they would need to start relying on more. Losing two of the strongest personalities?
Hey, did someone order the world's worst babysitter?
Yeah. Instead of making the other two step up and try to fill that gap, they can step back and fill it with many smaller pieces. This also prevents another Ned-Gate, since one of 11 cast members being in a controversy isn't nearly as large of a brand risk as one of the core founders and castmates. Though this approach still came with limitations, because while yes, channels operating as brands became more of the standard, that still only goes so far. Because kind of contrary to what I just said, YouTube is currently in a place where I'd say it really prioritizes predictability from creators. That is to say, if you click on a video for a given channel, you should have a pretty good idea of what to expect going in. So a good example of this is the Theorist brand. While Game Theory used to have multiple series running, with MatPat hosting their flagship, now the channels have new hosts but only run the core Theory series. So it's more like a brand in that the channels no longer hinge on MatPat, but they have to stay in a more specific lane. I mean, sure, pure variety channels like Smosh Pit can find success, but that took them years to do.
Here's when Smosh Pit actually got to a place where I thought it wasn't going to be around much longer. So they wanted a show of like every genre on one YouTube channel.
Or every personality. That's kind of what I was thinking.
You were kind of right, but that stretched this channel apart, and it was all so different that it wasn't getting good views because it wasn't like a consistent place. And it was like, what do you come to this channel for?
Not to mention that they make sure to have their core series as a constant release. And you gotta remember those thumbnails.
Our YouTube channel, the algorithm is not gonna serve someone else's face in a thumbnail with a title with someone else's name doing something that we don't do.
Again, take Smosh. Yes, the two founders now operate in almost wholly behind-the-scenes roles, but it took years for their cast members to be recognizable enough to take that plunge. And they were kind of forced to start that transition early because of certain factors.
I'm leaving Smosh.
Basically, it's going to take a really long time before the Auxiliary 9 are going to have the same click appeal as an original founder. That's a problem when it comes to getting views. Also, well, you gotta figure that with all of this new talent, they're gonna want to use it, right? Like the new series opportunities that can come with the recently transitioned trans man.
You used to have boobs.
Yes.
Now you don't.
Yep.
What was that like?
Awesome.
Or a hyper-realistic baker.
No! What have you done, Jonathan? What have you done?
I get the sense that these are made of cake and they cannot be moved, and y'all are doing a great job.
What? Who gives you that idea?
But I'm gonna try and lift it.
But variety channels are challenging, and you don't want to risk sinking the Try Guy brand, especially in the main channel. So all things considered, it kind of seemed like they were starting to make moves that were antithetical to YouTube, doesn't it? Well, that leads to their next step. A step that starts their long-term strategy, the next phase of which started with a curveball.
We added a bunch of people, and then we said, hey, we're gonna launch an independent streaming service. Second Try is our home to make shows with our friends, make stuff that we care about, make stuff for you guys and with you guys.
Yeah, they got creative. To balance the short-term issues and having to suddenly juggle a formal ensemble with the desire to properly use their talent, they decided to take the content that they as a company were ready to produce and release it to a platform that was made to be ready to distribute it. And I've talked about this more in depth previously, but overall, the reaction to this move was essentially, yeah, it was so perfectly neutral, it's actually kind of incredible. I mean, a crowdfunding model for content creators is becoming more necessary as production values keep rising.
Hello, you're here to learn about Beacon, not only the extraordinary home for everything Critical Role, but also the best way to support the very important work that we do here.
Okay, so we're on our own now, so if you want to support us directly, just hit the join button down below and you can become a member.
Thank you guys so much. I can't wait for you guys to see what we have in store.
Don't worry, not me though. It's more than enough if you subscribe because I don't have to pay myself to slave away. That's good thinking, right? So to have this new source of revenue with virtually no pushback, you really couldn't have asked for more. I mean, compare this to Watcher pulling an identical move.
I guess we just hope you guys follow us this one last time.
To our very own independent streaming service, Watcher.
Because they had taken such an aggressive approach, essentially locking out their fan base from almost all of their content.
You'll still occasionally see us on YouTube. We're gonna post trailers for our shows there. We're gonna have the season premieres of all of our series on there. But if you wanna watch the full seasons of all of our content, the streamer will be the exclusive home for all of that starting May 31st.
This move became a permanent stain on their brand and image.
Hey everyone, last Friday we announced that we're leaving YouTube and launching our new streaming platform.
We messed up.
We hope you'll be patient with us through these mistakes, and we remain incredibly sorry that they were made in the first place.
And that miscalculation cost them dearly.
Looks like Watcher laid off their entire creative and production team. This does not look good.
So sure, Second Try might not become the second Dropout, but they aren't necessarily trying to be. Like, Sam Reich's goals with Dropout seem to be focused on pushing the industry forward ethically.
And we're working hard to make that version of the company cool as hell. Not to mention patient, ethical, and responsible. Not to mention better than certain other multi-billion-dollar streamers.
I'm being paid $500 just to say this line.
Thank you, Iffy. Iffy's going home because we want to be respectful of his time.
To act as undeniable evidence that Netflix and other streamers are choosing to exploit creatives when mutual profit is more than possible.
I kind of loathe Hollywood and everything that it stands for.
Do you still pay for auditions, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, I brought this up on a podcast episode. This is why I love. So okay, there's revenue sharing for people who perform on the app. They pay for auditions. We had this huge debate.
Yeah.
And I've always been an advocate of paying for auditions.
Whereas the Try Guys are mostly using this platform as a way to provide a solution to all of the short-term issues we've touched on, while long-term providing them with greater funds as a production company. Of course, while also prioritizing increased representation in entertainment, which is also great.
Now, one of our long-term goals has always been to use the privilege of our platform to expand into a wider cast of diverse voices.
So we like to think that we're not really losing Eugene, but we're gaining so many more perspectives that deserve the opportunity to shine.
Speaking of Dropout, the Try Guys have cleverly entered their love affair with Smosh. That is to say that Smosh, Dropout, and the Try Guys have been having their cast members make guest appearances in each other's content.
I am joined by Dropout TV's Vic, Allie, and Iffy.
I'm Anthony Padilla, and I sat down with the Try Guys.
Keith, please, Mr. Dropout is my father's name.
You guys co-host a show called Bit City over on Smosh.
With me today are some of our friends from Try Guys and Second Try. Today I am joined by some funny folk from Smosh,
which I think is brilliant. I mean, I've been comparing the Try Guys to the other two for a reason. They all produce unscripted content with an ensemble, their target audiences are all the 20 to 30 somethings, yet they exist in pretty different niches, meaning they're not really competing with each other. Like, I don't think it's too likely that someone sits at their computer thinking, I just don't know if I want to watch an improv game show that features a Saw-based power fantasy, a podcast about Redditors needing to learn how to communicate, or men try on women's underwear. Sure, across a given week, plenty would watch all three, but in a given moment, you're likely going to lean more strongly towards a given flavor, and they aren't too proud to upload any exclusive content to YouTube memberships for those who prefer that convenience. And like I also noted in that video, they took a lot of cues from Dropout, which helped to make this such a success.
I want to give credit in every interview, at least once, to Dropout, because I think they paved the way for their this model. Sam Reich was extremely gracious in giving us his learnings and say, hey, here's what we got right, here's what we messed up.
What's more, they're wisely choosing to experiment in ways that work on YouTube.
What feels like we're in the same place, but it looks a little different. It looks like it's a different place.
But this is a different channel.
Yeah. Welcome to Try Every Day. We did try something new every day this month. It was so much fun. Thank you guys for being a part of this amazing project.
I say this a lot, but YouTubers starting second channels that operate independent from their first can be a major payoff, because it can allow that channel to surge and find a new, larger audience rather than being stuck to their existing fans, like if they take the shortcut of simply making bonus content like behind the scenes. In fact, Keith articulated this in a way that shows just how familiar he's become with this space.
Second Try is for shows that require a little more lead time, require like all these creative like inventiveness, and they're really, really fun, but they honestly
tend to cost more than YouTube makes them back. So part of this also is Try Every Day is a more economical model for us. 2026, maybe Try Every Day is really what our YouTube is. I'm sure Eat the Menu will still exist and Try Guys proper and Without a Recipe and Phoning It In. But we won't be trying to do the viral one-off things that are like unlike anything else on our channel. We'll really focus all those types of ideas into the Try Every Day format. Or maybe 1 month every quarter we do this. So maybe it's the last month of every quarter we just do these month sort of sprints. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
That's cool.
Like this is really, we haven't done like this.
And this experimentation is actually essential because the main channel once again kind of finds itself in a weird identity crisis at the moment. What do I mean? Well, remember how we got here. In the short term, they relied on an approach that was transparent, but mostly restrained. This was important because it encouraged the internet to rally around them when it became sorely needed, while also incorporating the new cast in a way that doesn't doom them to being Ned's replacement. And then in the medium term, they focused on establishing a more confident branding while choosing not to get worked up over what's ideal on paper, leading us to now, where they're focusing on finding the means of expansion towards sustainability without burning down what's known to work. So at the end of 2025, 3 years post Ned-Gate, how has this all come together? Well, if you got impatient and checked Social Blade, you might be thinking, that doesn't look great, but there's a lot more here than meets the eye. First, in the months leading up to Ned's departure, they were averaging a little over 20 million views per month, while more recently, the channel is averaging closer to 15. Those two windows specifically let us avoid the spikes that came from both Ned and Eugene's departures. So once again, being able to stick to the status quo is exceptional in this context, especially when they still have the streaming platform bringing in additional revenue that likely compensates for this. In fact, Zach and Keith decided to give an update on the performance of the platform.
For the first time in a little bit, I feel really good. I think we both feel really good about the direction of this company.
Last year we did something sort of crazy. We kind of blew up our YouTube channel. We said goodbye to a cast member after having said goodbye to a cast member.
A couple years before that.
Different reason.
I don't know, do you hear about that?
So then what people wonder is like, what's popular on Second Try? Is it the same as what's popular on YouTube? And the answer is no. It's totally different and super interesting.
We thought the top 10, right, when we launched, it was going to be Eugene's last season of the Try Guys, because Eugene's leaving, like, okay, everyone's gonna come and see that last thing.
Not in the top 10, not even close.
Yeah, what actually was in the top 10 was a show called Escape the Kitchen, which is a cooking escape room show.
This is one of our brand new shows. The second most popular show we did was another new show, Trolley Problems. Rounding out the top 10 was Without a Recipe Live.
And that last part, I would actually say, is a pretty good sign for the future. If their most popular series on YouTube maintain that status on Second Try, then that would mean that the website only exists as a super fan club that doesn't stand on its own. But instead, its selling point for people is the very content they use to justify this move. Though that does come with a bit of a caveat, as the episodes that they ranked as being numbers 1 through 10 on the website were actually ranked 7 through 16.
We actually lied about the top 10. The top 6 was all Without a Recipe.
Which does undermine the point a bit, but the fact that original series are ranking that high is still a good sign to me. But let's say that, for some reason, Zach and Keith decide to hire me to consult them on their YouTube channel. What insights would I have? Well, it's complicated, I guess. I mean, first, at a glance, there is a lot happening, especially with how many members-only videos they have, though that's a known problem across YouTube right now.
I don't even think messy is a strong enough word to describe the unnavigability of YouTube, when a whole bunch of the thumbnails that I'm looking at are for videos I can't freaking watch. And as bad as the channel video list page is, that's nothing compared to the way that YouTube has cluttered up recommendations, the homepage, and even freaking search.
But okay, using an extension that hides member-only videos, it's still a lot. Like, there are some videos where it's not totally clear to me if it's part of a specific series or a one-off. And then if it is a one-off, why is it randomly here? Like, okay, I know it's probably to promote a series on Second Try, but like, the algorithm might not. So for example, take this video here. I could not have confidently told you if it was a core Try Guys video, a vlog of some sort, or a swing at a Mr. Beast style video. Same with this origami video. In fact, if we just take their last 20 uploads, they have uploaded a compilation, 2 update videos, one of which is actually an episode of a new show, 3 lie detector videos, 3 core Try Guy videos, 4 videos of Keith Eats the Menu, a vlog for hair restoration surgery, 2 episodes of New Guy Tries, 3 episodes of Phoning It In, and a pilot for a new show. So in the age of consistency, across 20 uploads, they have 9 distinct formats. And honestly, my numbers might be a bit off considering I clicked this expecting a couch video and instead got this.
I am officially a father. Which is why today I'm challenging 5 of the world's top brands to the greatest gender reveal showdown of all time!
Zach, what the heck?
Oh, sup dude? New season, canned competition.
And that kind of move, yes, helps click-through rates, but often hurts watch time, which is estimated to be equally important. And while, yeah, the Try Guys have always been a variety channel leaning on sporadic formats, I don't know if that's the best move here. I might instead say that they should try and limit the uploads on this channel to like the Try Guys without a recipe and Keith Eats the Menu. While that's still a wider spread than most channels have these days, considering their foundation is being a variety channel, they can definitely swing it. Like, if you're going to lean on the expanded cast so much more in more varied formats, it might be best to do that on a separate channel like Smosh Pit. At least, that's what I would say if the foundation of their business was meant to be YouTube, but it's not anymore. A fair amount of these uploads are promoting new series for second try, meaning they're willingly taking that hit to average views to promote the website. And even if they launch more channels, 1, that complicates their reliance on memberships, since to my knowledge those don't carry over between channels, and 2, it comes with greater short-term risk at their size. I don't know, it's almost like they should just try launching a new low-budget channel and see if they can find the balance between relying on a set format versus variety without risking their flagship channel. And of course, that's what they did with Try Every Day.
So it's truly an experiment. We want to see how it goes. We want to hear what the audience wants to see more of. We want to let it ride, baby. And we'll learn and assess over a month.
And I think that leaning on new channels might be something they're considering for the near future, because the timing of this month-long experiment actually overlapped with Zach's paternity leave.
What about you, Zach? He's crazy.
Which, congrats, by the way. So them not waiting for a better time to do this suggests they're considering a move like this in the near future and wanted to start getting data. So while yes, I don't think their strategy is ideal for a YouTube channel, if you start to factor in the additional goal of selling second try subscriptions, then I would confidently say, listen, I think their average viewership per new upload is the main concern. While yes, YouTube is no longer essential in the short term, it absolutely will be as time goes by. Because how else are they supposed to promote this crowdfunding foundation if they aren't bringing in new viewers by their most effective option for doing so? And while I might sound like I'm getting a big head here, they actually agree with me.
So one of the things we did wrong is we put almost all of our effort into second try.
We kind of had to, just to make those shows as good as they could be. But
we didn't put our YouTube hats on and think about how things were going to perform on YouTube to reach more people so more people could find out about the cool stuff we're making on second try.
As a result, our YouTube channel is not doing well.
In all seriousness, I would at least say that their flexibility and experimentation is a really good sign. I mean, multiple times now, they've beaten me to the punch here. Basically, my 2 main takeaways are that their videos should probably be more identifiable at a glance, and that they should consider doing a second channel for content more based on the larger ensemble's antics. But if we're talking short term, yeah, this will probably sell more subscriptions. I will say though, it's objectively really funny that their update videos are usually their top performers, because that is definitely because of the original Ned video, but anyway, the Try Guys have managed to thrive post-Ned thanks to carefully balancing authenticity with restraint, knowing when it's time to be a human versus a brand. And while the transition from a core 4 to an ensemble isn't going to be perfectly smooth, there is plenty of precedent that suggests they're on the right path. I mean, Smosh Pit is now Smosh's strongest channel, despite that rough start.
As far as just how we did, it was like our best year. Reddit Stories was the #9 podcast on Spotify.
Crazy.
Insane. And of course, co-founder Ian Hecox had the same philosophy following Anthony's departure that Keith and Zach seem to have now.
Yeah, we had this cast that we had been developing, and so my job was to try to shine the spotlight on everybody and say like, hey, it's not just me here.
So while it's easy to sit here as a creator who has nowhere to go but up and nitpick the specifics, it's incredibly impressive that a brand that has had to undergo a change in ownership and 2 major cast overhauls has remained as consistent as the Try Guys. In a lot of ways, their success is lightning in a carefully crafted bottle that features like a mini lightning rod. It's the kind of thing that to try and recreate would just be a fool's errand.
Each week, we'll be dropping videos that focus on curiosity, empathy, and comedy.
Yeah.
I'll be pushing my body and mind to the limit, learning about different jobs and hobbies.
Fuck, I'm gonna have to make another Ned Fulmer video at some point, aren't I?